Hey, Mogul Kirby here, and welcome to my guide on dealing with Akkha's double trouble and feeling special invocations at the same time. First off, let's explain the basics. Double trouble makes the memory puzzle and the orbs that spawn when you move happen at the same time. As for feeling special, in addition to the memory puzzle being faster, you now spawn 2 orbs every time you move. One on your starting tile, and one in front of your ending tile. It's very important you understand where the orbs are spawning. As you can see here, it spawns an orb where I was standing and an orb in front of me after I move. Because of this orb pattern, as long as we move 2 tiles at a time, we will not move into the orb we just spawned. This brings us to the 2-tile method. As long as you click 2 tiles away at a time, you can path anywhere you want safely, or if you just click an even number of tiles away. Most of the time, you will be using this strategy to travel. Here's an example of us making it to the middle from pretty far away by doing this. Also note, if you are already running, you can always click to attack Akkha or the shadows with a long-range weapon to stop moving without walking. Now, if you aren't barflying or doing anything that makes you move around a lot, it's best to just try and stay close to the center in the first place, so when the special happens, you're already in the middle and not spawning a ton of orbs, as seen in this special. If step back was on, you'd be flinching while stepping back in to prevent Akkha from moving. Though if desperate, it's okay to flick between prayers instead. Sometimes you'll be moving around, for example barflying, and you will need to cover some distance to get to the center. We will cover some tips for these situations. The first tip is to take advantage of certain tiles that you know will allow you to run an even number of tiles. Note that in this butterfly pattern, the attack tiles always have the end in a run movement, while the side tiles are always a walk, so it can always safely stop moving on an attack tile. This is an example of knowing specific safe tiles. Also note that freshly spawned orbs have a short delay before they are active, so if you're tick perfect to step off after walking into your own orb you just spawned, it won't blow up, so you can keep doing the butterfly cycle despite the side tiles making you walk for 1 tick. The orbs will also expire before you make a full butterfly cycle, so you won't run into your old orbs if you do an extra cycle. Thus, you can just keep butterflying until you get to the attack tile near the middle after Akkha does a special, as seen in this example, and then travel 2 ticks at a time to get to a safe quadrant. Another safe tile example is if you get to a far away attack tile after Akkha does the special. You can save some time by running to any tiles on the road just before the attack tile as shown here, instead of doing a full cycle. Oftentimes, this is the pattern I do. I run to the emblem and then click 2 tiles away to get to another quadrant, usually one of the tiles in the very center. You can even click before your character reaches the initial emblem, as you see me do here, and the pathing is still an even number of tiles. You can take this even further. There's a guide by Lord Hisoka on YouTube on these invocations, which uses a method based on creating a grid of tiles and using the grid to safely move 2 tiles. This method is particularly helpful for team raid coordination. You can even make some of your own tiles to use like this. One thing to watch out for, if you ever find yourself running and Akkha suddenly does a special and you're not sure how to safely stop moving, you can at the last second click somewhere perpendicular to the way you're running, 1 to 2 tiles away. The key is to move away for just 1 tick. As long as you change direction on your last tick of movement, it won't matter whether you move 1 or 2 tiles, giving some room for error in your click. Here's some examples of this. Also remember that if you walk into a ball you just spawned, it's not active a tick after spawning, so you can still save it by being tick perfect to get off, as seen here. So there's even more room for error with this strategy. Lastly, to extend this strategy even more, if you ever need to quickly cover a lot of distance, there's a trick where you can click to run in a long straight line, but exactly 1 tile over at the end. This strategy is very handy, because if you change direction on the last tick, it doesn't matter whether you walk or run at the end. So you don't need to check if it's an even number of tiles, just make sure it's a straight line that goes 1 over at the end. Lastly, for dealing with the memory puzzle itself, as long as you get to a middle in time, ideally without too many extra orbs, and are able to focus enough to remember the pattern, you should be in a good position to do it. Remember, the special can only go clockwise or counterclockwise. It can't go diagonally when choosing the next quadrant. Also, remember how feeling special works with spawning orbs in front of you and where you started, so you know where to expect orbs. Also, be careful about blow-popping shadows in case you get dragged. I recommend using a longer range weapon instead to attack shadows during the memory puzzle. With this info, just do your best. And that's all my tips and tricks for Akkha. Good luck everybody on dealing with this invocation combination frustration. See you next time.